Oh boy, this video is going to be a wild, winding ride because there is a lot to talk about. In this exciting installment of the Dreamlover saga, we're going to learn even more about our hunky and or svelte companion, but unsurprisingly, we won't learn enough to actually complete the enigma that is the Dreamlover. Still, it feels like we're getting closer, so let me just dive straight in. Oh, but before that, I will warn that there are huge story spoilers here for those who haven't visited the Gith creche yet, so proceed at your own risk. You can access all of these scenes by simply following Laezel's personal quest. You'll first face off against the Gith patrol, and then head up the mountain pass to the Gith creche. I tell you what, I wasn't expecting my Dreamlover to complain the moment I approached the monastery, but he was not happy about my wishes to enter, telling me to stay away from the Gith Yankee. I'll play the little clip for you.
Within the artifact, a feeling stirs. Uncertainty.
Your curiosity is getting the better of you. Do not let it. Stay away from the Gith Yankee. They're hunting you. They want the artifact. They'll stop at nothing to take it from you.
Now, sure, the Gith are hunting the artifact, but we fought the Gith patrol off with with lots of difficulty. But we could still do it again, and it's interesting to note that he is very against entering, though. You eventually make your way into the creche itself and to the infirmary, where Laezel believes we can be purified of our tadpoles with a strange device called a Zaith'isk. Here's hoping I actually pronounced that properly. I must confess, my Gith Yankee dialect is not that good. So, weird stuff is happening with the doctor in the infirmary. The doctor is studying chunky boys as you walk in and urges you over to the Zaith'isk for purification. When you try to hop in, Laezel will ask to go before you, and it's not long before you realize that the Zaith'isk might not be the remedy Laezel thought it was. It seems to actually be hurting her pretty severely. Considering I failed every single roll because they had such high checks, with most being as high as 30, the Dreamlover calls out to you to remove her.
Remove her!
Before eventually shouting, "Enough!"
Enough!
And at that point, the Zaith'isk explodes. Likely at the hands of the Dreamlover. For me, the doctor ran off to get tools, somehow thinking I was going to submit to her dissecting me, which was definitely not going to happen. I had to fight my way out of the infirmary, but not before talking to Laezel, who insists the doctor is a traitor and that we should go find the Inquisitor. When we find the Inquisitor, he just wants to take the artifact from us, which is not surprising at all since everyone seems to want to take it. The Dreamlover is anxious and calls out,
Don't do it. The weapon is how I protect you.
But I refuse to hand it over for obvious reasons. I mean, besides having a budding romance with the Dreamlover, this is how I'm avoiding being controlled by the Absolute. So handing it over is not possible as far as I'm concerned. So I just said I can't do it because it protects me, but he's not having it when I say it protects me from the voice of the Absolute, and we're in a fight because, of course he knows I'm infected now. After the fight is when the shit gets really crazy. None other than Vlaakith herself shows up once we best the Inquisitor. She knows I have the artifact and asks if I'm a friend or a thief, to which I replied, neither, it's mine. But aside from her disliking that answer, she finally tells us what the artifact actually is. She calls it the Astral Prism, and then says it's corrupted. Vlaakith tells us there's someone inside, and that their mind is warped and broken, that they're part of the grand design, and were sent to sabotage the Astral Prism. Now, I'm into D&D, but I'll confess there is a lifetime worth of lore there, and I'm still pretty new to it, having only started to play the tabletop a couple years back. So I had no idea what the grand design was, and I had to look it up. So it's basically the Mind Flayer's master plan to gain control of the Gith again as it had once been before. So it makes sense when she orders us to kill the being inside the prism if they actually are who she says they are. Vlaakith offers Laezel ascension, but it doesn't matter, I still can't do as she asks, and I said as much. That person inside protects me from the absolute. We need them. She doesn't like that answer much, but tough. It's just a matter of fact, and I don't serve Vlaakith either way. So what do I care if she favors me or not? Now, apparently, if you keep arguing with her, you'll have to fight her. I was trying to keep Laezel mostly happy, so I just said, okay, fine, I'll kill the occupant. But I had absolutely no intention of doing that. I was just lying. But where it gets wild is that she actually opens a way forward to enter the Astral Prism. Does that mean we'll actually be meeting our dream lover for the first time in the flesh and not just in a dream? The prospect is very exciting, and I'm all about seeing what's going on in there. He calls out,
"Don't do it!"
before I enter because he's likely worried I'm actually going to do what I said I'd do. Entering the prism, we find ourselves in the familiar surroundings of our dreamscapes. It's cool to hear Laezel proclaim that we're in the astral plane too, so that's where we've been sneaking off to each night in our dreams. The dream lover is not happy about your coming against his wishes and has this to say.
So you came, in spite of all my warnings. Disappointing. Come. We will talk in private. Just the two of us.
But he doesn't realize how badly I had to come and see him for real. Like, I needed this, and whew, there's a lot that goes down in this next scene, so I'll just play it for you.
I may have made a mistake trusting you. I told you to stay away from the Gith, but you just couldn't help yourself. Could you? And now, you've come here to murder me. Very well. What do you want to know? I told you already. I'm just like you. An adventurer from Baldur's Gate who was infected with an Illithid tadpole and seeks to be free of the Absolute. But unlike you, unlike anyone else in any plane, I know Vlaakith's secret. It is a secret so great that if her people ever found out, that would be the end of her rule. The end of her. That same secret is how I've been protecting you from the Absolute. I can hear your thoughts. You think I'm lying. Vlaakith warned you that I would try to deceive you, but consider this. What reason have I to deceive you? I want the same thing as you. Freedom. I'm on your side. I have been since the very beginning. I already told you I protect you. That I saved you. That I'm just like you. If this was not enough to convince you, what more is there to say? It seems I was right to put my faith in you after all. Thank you. Vlaakith will be furious, to make no mention of your Gith companion. The Lich Queen fears nothing more than the loss of her empire. The knowledge I have of her deception will bring that about. Godlike in power, yes, but with none of the sanctity. Vlaakith is lying to her people. She pretends to know how Gith destroyed the Mayan Flare Empire. In truth, she knows nothing. If the Illithid Empire were ever to return, she would be incapable of stopping them. And if her people found out about her impotence, there would be mutiny, revolution, the end of her rule. But that very power, the power to resist Illithid control, which Vlaakith only pretends to know, is how I've been protecting you. I suppose she hoped to extract it from my corpse. Since you spared me that fate, she will come for you. A logical question. But you're not ready for the answer. I have delayed long enough. The next attack is overdue, and I can't risk you being caught in the middle of it. I need you out there, searching for the Absolute. You are on the right path, to Moonrise Towers. Return to it. I hope you are ready to face Vlaakith's wrath. The entire creche stands ready to kill you in her name. Good luck.
I was positively giddy as I approached the cave. Imagine being so close. It was a little disappointing to me that he wasn't happier to see me. I'm thinking in another game I'm going to have to fight Vlaakith and see if I can still go into the prism without her opening a way forward for me. None of it really matters at this point though, because he still urges you to come in and talk to him in private. And upon your arrival, we have the pensive dream lover staring off into the distance, questioning why he trusted you to begin with. He's upset you pursued the Gith against his wishes, which we kind of already knew coming into this, but he looks absolutely downtrodden when he follows up by saying that now you've come to murder him. Nope. Absolutely not. No absolute pun intended either. At this point, I was interested in two responses. The one where Vlaakith said he was an agent of the Grand Design, as well as the one I originally picked that I didn't come to murder him, but just talk. His response is a little strange, though, with a bit of an awkward smile. He doesn't seem to respond much here, like he's keeping it really close to the vest. But then you can ask who he really is, a question he never seems to want to answer. And we go back to the old response about how he used to be an adventurer like me until he took an arrow to the knee. But he knows something no other adventurer knows, Vlaakith's secret. He claims it's a secret so great that it would challenge her very rule of her people, and that somehow that secret correlates to how he's protecting us from the Absolute. If you mention the Grand Design bit, he says this.
I told you I stole the artifact from someone. Well, I stole it from Vlaakith. Since then, she has become desperate.
This basically causes him to speak again, how he said he stole the prism, and that he stole it from Vlaakith, that she's been desperate to get it back and wants him dead because he knows her secret. And this ties back into the original dialogue about the secret, offering just a smidge of extra insight to the discussion. So now he says he can hear my thoughts, that I think he's lying. I never said anything like that, but perhaps Tav was thinking it without my say-so. It's not cool, Tav. He asks you to consider that he has no reason to lie to you, that you both want freedom and will find it much more easily together. It's here that he takes out a sword and basically offers it up to you as though he's putting his very life in your hands, saying he's on your side and has been since the beginning. Once again, I'm feeling like I'm lost on Game of Thrones because this guy is either a really good bullshitter who is playing me like a fiddle, or he's actually being honest. It's so hard for me to tell, but at the end of the day, we're still trying to romance him, so obviously I'm not going to kill him. It seems like a far-fetched bluff to consider that I even would, but one of these days I'm going to have to go back and see what happens if I do try to kill him. I chose to ask him if it was some sort of trick, and he just reiterates that, he's been there to protect and save me, and what else could he say that would convince me otherwise? I don't know. How about who you are and what you're after? I mean, right about now, we could build some serious trust if he would just tell me how he came to be trapped in this prison and who put him there. One has to wonder, how the heck did he manage to escape the control of the Absolute if he's the one protecting us from it? It's just a strange predicament that we kind of have to accept we're not getting the full truth on, at least not for now. It does make me feel like he just isn't being honest, though. Even still, I have no plans to kill him. I need him and his powers, regardless of what those powers are or where he got them. He seems pleased, but warns you that you'll have quite the fight on your hands as you try to escape the creche. The things I do for pixel love. He does offer up some concrete information here, though, which actually kind of surprised me a bit, when he reminds you that Vlaakith fears him for the dirt he has on her, that he could bring about the fall of her empire. He actually answers pretty directly for once, saying that she is godlike in power with none of the sanctity, that she's lying to her people, pretending to know how Mother Gith destroyed the Mind Flayer Empire, but doesn't actually know a thing, that if the Illithids ever came for the Gith again, Vlaakith would be powerless to stop them. Wow. I mean, I'm kind of surprised he's just dishing all this out. It's a lot to process. So that power Vlaakith has been using to trick her people into believing she's a god is the same power he stole and is using to protect you from the Absolute's control. He says something strange here, though, about how she probably hoped to extract it from his corpse. I kind of figured the power was within the prism itself, so why would she have to extract it from him? It seems like there's always some truth mixed with unknowns with the Dream Lover, because when I ask him what the power is, he says, "Oh, a logical question, but I'm not ready for the answer." Like, come on, I mean, I kind of am. How about you just tell me? He then asks you to get moving, saying there will be another attack soon and that he doesn't want you stuck in the middle of it. He sets you on your path, heading to Moonrise and finding out the source of the Absolute's power. He wishes you good luck with the Gith and then kicks you out. I also have to say, I love how Astarion is all like, "Did you kill it? What was it anyway?"
Did you kill it? And what was it anyway?
Well, darling, I still don't know. I told Laezel her queen was lying to her and she was being strangely amenable to all of these blasphemies I'm committing against Vlaakith. I have expected her to flay me on the spot, but thankfully I have exceptional approval with her and have been trying to play this as sensitively as I could. So I fought my way out of the creche, and after heading back to the Act 1 map, I was visited by Kithrak Voss at camp, who added even more to the plot. Voss says he's come to help Laezel, but the Dream Lover insists.
Don't trust him.
So, once you give him a chance to talk, Voss says he knows you carry the Astral Prism, that within it lies Vlaakith's demise, and that he wants to help that demise along. I couldn't help but ask about the person inside and who they are, but he dodges the question, saying if they haven't told you themselves, then they must have a good reason, which just sounds like more BS to me. But Voss says he's sought their freedom for aeons now, so obviously this person is important to him. He says they just need the key to the prisoner's chains, and he believes he has a lead on someone who might be able to help provide that key in Baldur's Gate. There's a lot more interesting stuff here about Vlaakith and how she's basically a scam, absorbing her Ascended and not offering any real purification to those infected with tadpoles. Laezel is understandably shaken by all of this unsettling news, but after Voss leaves, you can ask her about who is in the prism. She doesn't know, of course, and I'm beginning to think we'll never find out, but there is one big clue I found that might offer some possibilities. Now, strangely enough, I actually tried to skip the Underdark because I had played it so much during early access that I just didn't feel like doing it again. And that's why I went through the mountain pass and ended up at the creche so early on. But after finishing the creche, I could not get past the harder mobs that blocked the road further on, and I was forced to head into the Underdark yet again. When I traversed the Arcane Tower, I found something interesting. If I found it in past runs, I had long forgotten it, but it seemed relevant to everything that just happened in the creche with the Dream Lover and Vlaakith. It's a Gith Slate, and Laezel will pop up with a unique dialogue. Let me play it for you.
The disc appears in your mind's eye. Laezel sees it too, and considers the vision.
Tissue markings. Ancient. I recognize them, but I can't make sense. No. Wait. The texts are enciphered, but I've solved the pattern. It's a story. About Orpheus.
Your head buzzes in concert with Laezel's, but it hardly matters. Even without the connection, you'd recognize her discomfort.
A traitor. A dead one. This text is heresy. I can hardly bear to read it, let alone speak it. Very well. I will read it to you. The Prince of the Comet, Part 1. So it was that we were free from Gith shackles and turned our blades on each other. The heavens were shattered, and one great empire was divided in two. Gith traveled to the Hells to broker help for her people, her cause. Vlaakith would have you believe Mother Gith proclaimed her our queen. Lies. Gith made no such proclamation. Vlaakith seized the Empire against the Mother's wishes. But Gith had nurtured a son, Orpheus, Prince of the Comet, the true heir. He knew Vlaakith's treachery. Orpheus rallied Gith's honor guard and declared the throne for himself. The War of the Comet had begun. Disregard this drivel. Gith declared Vlaakith Queen of the Empire, and her own son defied her. Orpheus would have ceded control to the Gith. You speak like Kithrak Voss. You accuse Vlaakith of the unthinkable. As unthinkable as the greatest living knight turning on his queen.
Now, at this point I'm thinking, holy crap, what if the Dream Lover is actually Orpheus? But the confusing thing here would be the Dream Lover's malleable form. Orpheus was Gith, so shouldn't he look Gith? Maybe he's using disguised self? But the Dream Lover also said he stole the power from Vlaakith in our prior conversation, but it seems, if anything, that Vlaakith stole the powers from Orpheus. So maybe he simply took it back? But then Voss clearly thinks someone special, someone that could lead the Gith, is within the Prism, which leads me to think it could be no other than Orpheus himself. Questions and more questions. It's Red Flag City with the Dream Lover, and it's anything if not interesting. You want a romance to keep you on your toes? So far, this one has mystery in spades. There are times I'm completely willing to turn a blind eye to the Dream Lover's cryptic responses, but other times where I feel he's being dangerously secretive. Like an old married couple, we're stuck together for better or for worse, though, since I can't proceed without his aid. I just hope that he's actually on my side when push comes to shove. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, as there is going to be a huge slew of new BG3 content coming out over the next few months, possibly years. I mean, there's a lot. Thanks to my Patreons for the support, and if you'd like to help support the channel too and get access to the private Discord and a whole other chunk of content on Patreon, then head over and make a pledge. I'll see you guys later.